Pretty good answer.
Thanks.
Thanks, Erica. Now that you've seen these questions in action, here's what you can do. Sit down and think about your work history. Write down specifically 5 or 6 different experiences and how they might apply to the leadership principle questions. One thing to keep in mind during your interviews is not to use the same example every single time. It's okay to look at different aspects of the same problem or your experience, but throughout the day you'll probably have 1 or 2 behavioral questions per interviewer, and so you're going to want to mix it up a little bit. Pay special attention to
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy
Lastly,
Nation Politics.
you really want to talk about
How's
what
everyone
did
doing
you
today?
do versus the team. So what was your impact versus what did everybody else do? Thanks for watching.
We're not here because we're free. We're here because we're not free. There's no escaping reason, no denying purpose. Because as we both know, without purpose, we would not exist.
Free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. Tommy Nation Politics.
Been a hard day's night. I've been working like a dog.
Hello?
Micah Luna. The indubitable. The formidable. How's it going, bro?
Oh, you know, just another day. You know, living life.
Another day, another destiny. This never-ending road to Calvary. As Jean Valjean said.
Another day, another dollar.
I mean, do we really have to talk about days like they're money? Days are worth so much more than money. Money is the root of all evil, bro. Remember? We just had that conversation.
I totally agree.
Just kidding. I don't really. I mean, I don't have a lot of it, so I'm probably a hater. Probably what happens. But so
Not,
I know you're.
not until,
I know you're taking.
it's not until we've lost everything that we're free to do anything, Thomas.
It's not. Wait, could you say that again? What?
I said it's not until we've lost everything that we are free to do anything.
Is that what Nancy Pelosi said to you?
That was Tyler Durden.
Probably something Nancy Pelosi would say.
In that case, then no. But yeah.
Well, the reason I'm calling actually is because I've misplaced 11,870 votes, and I was wondering if you had any I could borrow. Just
11
kidding, bro.
grams.
11. Do you happen to have any under your couch? You don't want a fair election, Michael. You don't want a fair election. The Republicans will be voting not Republican. I don't know. So that was the part of the conversation where, like, I had to re-listen to 10 times. Because he said the Republicans are going to be voting badly. So are they going to be voting not Republican, or are they going to be voting for what? He was right, though. He was right. But that's not his fault. Like, Joe Biden fucking bribed them with money that was never going to get to their hands. Because he's a liar. Should have known, bro. That's my whole thing right now is, did you know that, you know, his COVID relief bill got to the Senate, his little slush fund of money to other countries, corporate loopholes, fucking all kinds of shit goodies for their donors. This is the 5th time they're robbing us, by the way. And also there's $1,400 checks. Hey. Plus they have some money for COVID, you know, some COVID relief centers, some fucking... Did you hear Joe Biden talking about, like, we don't just need the vaccines, we also need the stuff to put the vaccines in? You mean like needles, Joe? What a weirdo, bro. Fucking idiot. So anyway, it gets to the Senate, and the Senate parliamentarian's like, you know what? Minimum wage? No. So he fucking caved on minimum wage today. All the progressives are angry. They're like, how could Joe Biden do this? He was our hope and dreams. He promised. I mean, like, I feel like I'm the only one that was awake for, like, the last fucking, I don't know, since 2008. I mean, I'm like, guys, Joe Biden's a liar. Remember? Y'all really thought? He said $2,000, $1,400. He said minimum wage. He gave it a minimum wage. It's a fucking liar. So, I mean, I thought, it never fails, dude. What do you think about that? Like, it never fails how many times Joe Biden lies to these people. They still actually legitimately seem surprised that he's a liar every time. It's weird. It's fucking weird.
I don't think people are paying that much attention, to be honest. That's what I think. But
I think you're wrong. They were definitely paying attention when he said $2,000 checks go out the door. They definitely were. I promise you.
Yeah.
Because people are slipping into poverty and shit. So, what are people going to be paying attention to? They don't even have houses anymore. They can't watch TV. They're fucking getting evicted, bro. Evicted.
It's true.
So,
It's true.
yeah, man.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of things, Thomas. That's all I can say. I'm hearing a lot of things, but I don't know.
I don't really give a shit what you hear. I hear a lot of stupid shit, too. What do you think? That's what I'm interested in. What do you think? I don't care about what you're hearing.
That's the problem. I'm trying to formulate a opinion on everything that's going on. It's very hard to because a lot of this stuff I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's bullshit or
What about this COVID relief bill? You can read a bill. It's 591 pages. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's just a bill.
I mean,
it's like nothing.
And the relief bills are just bullshit anyway. It's just a way for them to pump tons and billions of dollars into other areas, and then they give us pretty much like the
other areas like their donors. Yeah, bro. So I mean, some things are straightforward. Even though that bill was 591 pages, and Joe Biden said 2 months ago that he was going to take the checks out the door. But first, he had to write 591 pages of fucking slush fund funneling to his donors. So my question is, like, what do you think of that? What do you think of that part? Like, what do you think of how little these politicians give a shit about us? What do you think about that? What do you think?
Well, it's not surprising. It's business as usual in their minds,
Why do they treat us like this? Why? Why? What do we do to them?
Well, it's because they don't give a fuck, Thomas. They don't give a fuck about the American people. I mean, they really don't.
But why? I do.
And
I don't even like most of them. It's weird.
I think when you get to that level of power, it's just you've got a lot of people talking in your ear, and I think Joe Biden's just a puppet, so he's going to do what he's told. But I mean,
he's not even an adorable puppet like Pinocchio either. He's a fucking racist warmonger puppet. I got no things to bomb Syria.
Who's Joe Biden's boss? Who's telling him like what to do? Who's pulling his strings, right?
That's a good question, bro.
I would say it's the people that we don't speak of, right? It's those people whose names we won't.
Are you going to speak of these things, Micah? Why do you want to end this conversation? I'm sorry. Community standards and guidelines have prohibited the rest of this conversation to occur. Please see Chapter 7 of our Community Standards and Guidelines under appropriate safety measures. Dude, I was going through the Community Standards and Guidelines of Facebook. I was actually reading them because, like, I'm tired of their shit. Everything's their Community Standards and Guidelines. I read them, and I still don't think that anything I've said was cyberbullying, harassment, or misleading information on purpose. Malevolent, misleading the public. I don't think so. I think they're fucking retarded. I think you guys are taking it way too responsibility. Okay, taking it too serious, guys. Have a beer. Have a Coke and a smile. Oh, speaking of Coke, bro, did you hear the polar bear? He's fired.
Really?
Yeah, he was too white, bro. People were looking at him and they were like, "Oh my God, why do I have to see a white supremacist polar bear drinking a Coke every time I turn the television on. This is so important.
Wait. Are you being serious or are you making a joke?
No, I'm not, bro.
You're being serious.
You see, Joe Biden isn't going to give justice to Black Lives Matter, but he will fire a polar bear from Coca-Cola. That's going to help us, bro. That single-handedly is going to keep us from being shot by cops. What he just did. What Joe Biden just did by firing the polar bear from Coca-Cola, bro, that's going to save Black lives. I promise. I promise.
I heard they got rid of
Trayvon Martin. He's fucking singing in his grave right now. Oh, if only they had fucking fired the polar bear sooner. Then that fucking fat-ass weirdo wouldn't have followed me home. Fucking shot me.
Oh, man.
Yep, the polar bear, bro. It was the polar bear. We found out, bro. Who knew? Who knew?
I heard they got rid of Aunt Jemima, so Uncle Ben.
Yeah, bro. These are the things that are really killing Black lives, bro. These things right here that you're listing, the Aunt Jemima, they're literally killing Black people every day with their reminders of historical events that occurred in the past. People don't need to think about the past. That way it can repeat itself. You know? They like that.
Yeah. They like to bring up the past, don't they?
I mean, only if they're changing it to fit their narrative. Then all of a sudden we brought the Blackies in. They volunteered. Who wants to build the White House and pick the cotton? You? Oh, that darkie's hand is raised. Voluntary immigrants. The end. And we all lived happily ever after. Yeah, bro. I mean, it's like George Carlin said. It's the American dream. You have to be asleep to believe it. The thing that bothers us so much, I think, is that we're not asleep. If we were asleep, maybe we'd be happier. What do you think?
I think we'd be more content.
Ooh, is it Easter already? The stores are telling me it's Easter. Oh, is it Halloween already? The stores are telling me it's Halloween. Oh, must be time for Thanksgiving. Oh, must be time for Christmas. Consume. Buy. Enjoy your miserable life. We will suck your wealth from your wallet. We'll suck your life from the television. We will suck your health from our vaccines. And we will suck your brain with our fucking boring ass, stupid identity politics that never works and is always the wrong idea. It never helps the people we want it to help. And that's the reason we do it. Surprise. So,
did you ever take that vaccine?
Would I ever take the what? The vaccine?
Mm-hmm.
So I talked last show with my friend Trevor. He took it. He said he felt bad for a few days, but then he's feeling better now. He took the Moderna, and bro, I'm pro-choice. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter where the winds blow. I have my principles and values, and they'll never change. I'm pro-choice. I'm anti-war. I'm pro-LGBT, pro-black, and black power. I also believe in power to the people. And I know the founders of the Constitution, the founders that wrote the Constitution, they didn't mean all men are created equal when they wrote it. Like, not me. But I see this as like an opportunity to take that promise of America and literally transform and restore it to like the purest antithetical part of how it should have been written. Like literally we could change America ourselves. This is our time. But I won't take the vaccine, bro. Not now. First of all, the military is involved in it. I'm not doing anything with the military involved in anything. The first time they said the military contracts and the fucking pharmaceutical contracts were intertwined, I was like, fuck no, bro. Not unless I'm Captain America. Fucking, is S.H.I.E.L.D. here? That's the only way I'm taking this shit. I don't know, bro. Hey, but Think about it. Captain America, he volunteered to take the soldier serum. Would you take the soldier serum back in World War II, bro? Would you be brave enough to take the soldier serum?
If I looked how Captain America looked before he became America, I think I probably would.
True, bro.
Yeah, probably would.
I never liked Captain America.
Worst that can happen.
I thought he was like vaguely racist. He's always like telling Thor, "Oh, there's only one God, Thor. He doesn't dress like that. Better go back to school, sir." I'm like, shut the fuck up, bro. He's hot though. Chris Evans is hot. Captain America, I never liked him. Never liked Iron Man either. I like Thor.
Captain America was a little too clean cut for me. He was a little too like.
I know.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
Too clean cut. Like if he saw you drinking and you were under the age of 21, he would tell like an adult. Well, you know what I'm saying? Hey there, you shouldn't be drinking. It's against the law.
Yeah.
He fucking tells your parents and shit. This one needs to do some discipline, and he needs to read the Pledge of Allegiance 10 times. Shut the fuck up.
He would throw everybody under the bus as long as he was.
He would, bro. I mean, that's pretty much like the American fucking tradition is throwing people under the bus. Hey, you were at that insurrection, weren't you? Yeah, buddy, you were. I saw you sitting in Mike Pence's chair. We're all fucking tattletale social justice keyboard warriors now. Tattletale social keyboard justice warriors, bro. That's being a good citizen. Are you a good citizen? Do you love your country? Do you want to kill my children? Then you'll take the vaccine. Otherwise, you kill my children. There's no other choice.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind, a journey into a wondrous land. There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. And it lies between the pit of a man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area we call the Twilight Zone.
The media
guys,
said
this is
what?
Tony. How's
The
everyone?
media said Joe Biden's president. Ha 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 ha.
Bringing drugs, bringing crime, and rapists. Whoa! Watch out, guys. He's not Hitler. He's not Hitler. Russia didn't interfere with our elections. Epstein didn't kill himself. There were no weapons of mass destruction. The FBI was created to surveil Black Americans. Barack Obama stored our metadata in undisclosed locations while expanding the wars from 2 to 7. There is a fucking reality. Over the spin, over the noise, over the conventional wisdom and social norms. Can you hear it? Or is ignorance bliss? Real life. Every single person that emigrated in this country came here because they knew this was the land of the free and the home of the brave. We wanted something better, and we will continuously progress to it. Domination politics. Oh, there's just one more tidbit of truth that I feel like passing on to my future legacy.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics.
Hillary is
Urbanites who love the idea of progress.
What would define your campaign? Standing up to the billionaire class.
Tommy Nation Politics.
50% of our people who are living paycheck to paycheck. And as we speak tonight, half of our people in this country, the richest country in the history of the world, are living paycheck
crazy
to
ideas
paycheck.
like people having health care and not killing the planet. And the more those demographic groups move away from the party, the easier it is to keep the establishment firmly in place.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
We're moving forward at a pace that was unimaginable just a short time ago, and we are never, ever going back.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today is the 173rd day of this Congress and the 150th of the Biden administration. These days have been spent governing to repair our global standing, to accelerate our vaccination program, and to boost a struggling economy. With the American Rescue Plan, we have governed to build back better.
But no, man, like what ended up happening is after I left, because you know that last day I was there, I was with this friend of mine, and he was looking over there in the darkness, he's looking at something, and I see what he's looking at, and I'm like, no, man, I'm seeing shit. I'm like, cause it looked like a ninja, like some weird ass stuff, and I'm like, I'm seeing stuff. I'm totally, you know, but I freaked out enough, it's all left. Point is, that's when things really picked up. You know, when I ended up, I was at my parents' house, and my stepdad started acting really weird. He was trying to get me to stand in this place. And I was like stand over here kind of thing, like being very persistent about this. So finally I'm still, and something stuck me in my back, like stung me. And then I got really.
Take a look at America today.
And I was like, what the fuck? So I said, hey, if I actually take me to the emergency room, will you take me? He said, yeah. And so and so I go to the bathroom and I come back out and he's the lights are off and he's in bed. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I get in my GPS and I try to go to the hospital, I put it in there, and it takes me to the freaking dead end with a school. 0.00 the coordinates, man. And then, you know, I don't know, things just got weirder and weirder. And I got to Oklahoma, I had my cat with me. Because, you know, I had a memory of these things, like, you know, and I was like, nah, man, I'm going through psychosis. But so that's just real. It's real. They're real. They're real. They live off the energy of changing. They change time. Yeah. They're creatures of time, which sounds insane and sounds like science fiction. But these things, they live off the energy of things that work. One of the jackets I found in my apartment was a jacket of this girl named Lauren Sarton. I don't even know Lauren Sarton. Nobody I know knows her. We're not connected on Facebook anyway. And her ID from when she was 14. So these things, like, you know, they changed her history. It's nuts, man. And you know, I got that stuff out of people that I knew that were involved with this crap. And I just love it, man. That's why I'm fucking like that. I do it. It's really creepy, man. That's why I'm saying, you know, I see shit like that. When I was in Oklahoma, I went to the VA hospital because I thought maybe I was going to psycho. I was like, I'm going crazy, right? So I went to go get some, you know, anxiety medicines and so forth, and they sent me down to the basement. And so when I went down there, they're like, no, the floor beneath the basement. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. She's like, when you get out of the morning, we come back up the elevator. I'm like, okay. She's like, but I'll take you all the way there. And so we go down, and she closes the door, and she says, bye. And like, man, and then I'm down there, and that's when I saw this. I will not. And I thought maybe I was going crazy because like these things have maggots and stuff coming out of them. I thought I was going crazy because there's maggots and stuff coming out. So I'm seeing this. So what I did is I grabbed some tweezers and I grabbed one of those things and put it inside the fucking hollow too. And I have them. Those things I still have it. It's real. It's like still sitting there. And so I ran and these things chased me to the hospital. I mean, I'm sitting there like, what the hell is going on? Like they come out of Twilight Zone. So I get to like an escape exit or whatever, you know, an exit. These things corner me and go up in the stairwell. It's done. Is it closed? But they corner me in the stairwell, man. You know, and I'm like, oh god. And so when I say that, these things back up, and I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, so this is religious because I'm still thinking I'm seeing orderlies. That I'm just going through psychosis. Yeah. This is the people in the hospital coming to get me. And hey, you know, and that's how I'm seeing them. No, man. When I said, please God, I said, help me. And these things. And they moved because they move real fast, and they went back up the stairwell, and I was like, what the fuck? So, Try to harm you? They did. I ended up kicking the door down. Thank God it was, and so I couldn't find my car. My car wasn't inside the parking garage, which was really screwed up. Like, I had the keys. Where the hell could it have gone? And I found it in a field, in a field across the way. I ran across this field, man. And I was scared, so I ran. And I found it against a fence. I had to drive it through the wheat.
How can something like that harm a community?
They're us, man. Like, they're us in the future. It's I sent myself this message years ago, and I remember I would tell people, all my friends, but I don't remember what it was. I remember it was important, but I don't know. At the time, I just didn't. It sounded kind of crazy, so I was like, yeah. But in that stairwell, I remembered everything. I remembered.
You remind me so much of my brother.
And it just, wow. I mean, if I had listened to myself, it's ridiculous. It's like stuff like that, It's just like that. Of course, you're not gonna. It's like it sounds insane. It's stupid, and it's like, come on, man. It's like some of the science fiction movies. Yeah. No, man, these things, they're real. They're real. And I don't know, to say exactly, but they're.
A Democratic crime bill. That's the secret. A Democratic crime bill. A Democratic president wants 100,000 cops. A Democratic president wants to build 125,000 new prison cells.
You from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage. Born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
A letter from James Madison to James K. Paulding, March 10th, 1827. Dear Sir, I have received your favor of February 28th and read the pamphlet under the same cover. It is a powerful and a piercing lesson on the subject which it exposes. I was not before aware of the abuses committed by the lawmakers and lawbreakers of your state. The picture you give of both, though intended for New York alone, is a likeness in some degree of what has occurred elsewhere. And I wish it could be in the hands of the legislators, or still better, of their constituents everywhere. Incorporated companies with proper limitations and guards may in particular cases be useful, but they are at best a necessary evil only. Monopolies and perpetuities are objects of just abhorrence. The former are unjust to the existing, the latter usurps the rights of future generations. Is it not strange that the law, which will not permit an individual to bequeath his property to the descendants of his own loins for more than a short and strictly defined term, should authorize an associated few to entail perpetual and infeasible appropriations, and that not only to objects visible and tangible, but to particular opinions, consisting sometimes of the most metaphysical niceties, as is in the case with the ecclesiastical corporations. With regards to banks, they have taken too deep and too wide a route in social transactions to be got rid of altogether, if that were desirable, in providing a convenient substitute to a certain extent for the metallic currency and a fund of credit which prudence may turn to good account. They have a hold on public opinion which alone would make it expedient to aim rather at the improvement than the suppression of them. Has now generally constituted their advantages, whatever they may be, are outweighed by the excess of their paper emissions and the partialities and corruption which they are administered. What would be the operation of a bank so modified that the subscribers should be individually liable pro tanto and pro rata for its obligations, and that the directors with adequate salaries paid out of the profits of the institution should be prohibited from holding any interest in or having any dealings whatever with the bank, and be bound moreover by the usual solemnity to administer their trust with fidelity and impartiality. The idea of some such modification occurred to me formerly, when the subject engaged more of my attention than it has latterly done. But there was then, as there probably is now, little prospect that such an innovation would be viewed with public favor, if thought by better judges to have pretensions to it. Mrs. Madison and myself value too sincerely your kind sentiments and recollections, not to be gratified by the manner in which you have expressed. In the meantime, accept and offer to Mrs. Paulding our cordial salutations. Sincerely, James Madison.
$1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential this week for childcare. A lot has been happened already, number one.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We take you now to Chicago for the dedication of the new Outer Drive Bridge and the address by President Roosevelt. We're situated on the lakefront at the south end of the new bridge, which will open a new highway joining the north side with the south side of Chicago and greatly relieving the traffic situation. First speaker you will hear this morning is Mayor Edward J. Kelly of Chicago. We have just concluded a vast parade from the Union Station, where the President arrived at 9:30, an hour and a half ago. And after raining all night and a foggy morning, we have a beautiful sunlit noontime. Now, Mayor Kelly.
Mr. Secretary of the Interior, Senator Dietrich, Governor Horner, distinguished guests and friends, we are in the closing weeks of Chicago's Charter Jubilee celebration. We are looking back on a century of building and civic improvement. We are looking forward to a new century of growth. The ceremonies here today are in striking contrast to the state of warfare over bridges which prevailed in Chicago 100 years ago. We rejoice today over the welding of a vital new link between the north and south sides of Chicago. It seems to us unbelievable that there could have been a time in the history of Chicago when bridges were not wanted. Yet in 1839, a mob of angry citizens chopped down the Dearborn Street drawbridge, destroying the connection between the two sides of the city. Commercial competition led to this act of violence, but the passing of years brought new conceptions of neighborly cooperation. Today, the city is unselfishly one. Chicago, the city of the broad shoulders and big heart, has finished another job. The struggles, the years of work and planning, the boundless energy and courage of Chicago's builders to complete the longest bascule bridge in the world is a thrilling record of cooperation and conquest. The watchword of Chicago civic planners was, "It can be done." Today, Chicago reports to the world, it is done. We are witnessing today something greater than a lasting triumph in stone and steel. In all this drama and human enterprise, there is a heart-stirring opera of civic devotion and planning. There is a grateful hymn of praise for Chicago's pioneers. There is a marching song of a friendly city's comradeship and united purpose. And in this hour of accomplishment, what greater honor could come to the city of good neighbors than to be blessed with the presence of the nation's first good neighbor? And here in Chicago, which is now the traffic center of the world, where the Potawatomi Indians 100 years ago stopped in their passage along the shores of Lake Michigan, which was then a barren swamp. Even within our memory, watching the skyscrapers rise and the boulevards spread, we can recall the tin can and rubbish dumping ground that is now the beautiful Grant Park. Something must be said for the Daniel Burnhams, the Edward Wackers, the Montgomery Wards, and the James Simpsons, who had the vision and foresight to plan for Chicago's future. The only yardstick which can measure this accomplishment lies in the question, who benefits from it all? Who enjoys all the opportunity for pleasure and cultural advancement? Our dreams and hopes have been translated into this great commons of Chicago, this vast meeting place of a city and its guests, of which this bridge is a very important part, where millions came for entertainment and recreation, as well as for enlightenment, to band concerts, athletic and water sports, museums, and various other things. And with the same quickening pulse, all kindled by the same desire to promote Chicago's betterment, and in the same gay mood of friendliness, and all sharing the same emotions of tolerance and goodwill and fair dealing. It really represents $1 billion of public wealth and value to the Chicago citizens at a considerably much less cost. As president of the South Park Board, and now as mayor of Chicago, I am proud that I have been identified with this opportunity to unite and advance Chicago. The good neighbors of Chicago, Mr. President, as you know, can address themselves to any task and achieve it. Whatever adds to our social and economic progress are all summed up in our driving, resourceful spirit of I will. It is a typical American city where all races and creeds live in happy harmony, all vitally interested solely in American democracy. How open and free is all of Chicago, with rejoicing in this celebration when we think of the turmoil and conflict that now grips other nations abroad. We are aware, Mr. President, that this whole accomplishment might have been postponed indefinitely were it not for your help. In your present journey throughout the nation, you have been taking an inventory of recovery. You have been putting your own finger on the pulse of public response to your helpful programs of providing work and permanent public improvement. The hundreds of thousands who greet you here have the same admiration for your humane and courageous leadership as have the many thousands you have met during your trip throughout the West. We would be amiss if we not at this particular time thank our Secretary, Mr. Ickes, and also Administrator Harry L. Hopkins, who have done much to make this great bridge possible. Grateful indeed is every citizen in Chicago for the long-ranging planning and tireless work of President Dunham and his associates of the Chicago Park District, not only here but in all parts of our city. Now, Mr. President, the symbol of dedication of this Centennial Bridge is found in a union of hearts as well as hands. It is a symbol of the gap you bridged between the nation's want and the nation's security. It is a symbol of the breach you filled between the country's fear and the country's confidence. It is a symbol of the permanent link you forged between a nation standing still and a nation pulling out of the rough. We welcome you, Mr. President, and we express our heartiest gratitude for your help. This 30 miles of uninterrupted lakefront boulevard has widened this gateway of the Middle West. But in your final appraisement of this achievement today, may you take away the dominant thought and the prevailing hope of the people of Chicago, a better and more beautiful city, a city whose growing pains have not changed its warm heart and friendly spirit, a city that ran ahead of recovery and is still staying out in front. Now, I have never been more happy. The people of Chicago have never been more happy. And I've never been more thrilled than to welcome our friend and good neighbor, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mutual Broadcasting System is bringing you the exercises and the addresses dedicating the new Outer Drive Bridge in Chicago. President Roosevelt, assisted by his son and Secretary James, now advances to the battery of microphones. Smiling at the crowd, he is about to speak. President Roosevelt.
will help millions of people get back to their jobs and back to their careers. 2 million women have dropped out of the workforce during this pandemic. 2 million. And too often because they couldn't get the care they needed to care for their child or care for an elderly parent who needs help. 800,000 families are on the Medicare waiting list right now to get home care for their aging parent or loved one with disability. If you think it's not important, check out in your own district, Democrat or Republican, Democrat or Republican voters.
Not a lot of actual policies talked about at the inauguration today, but the new president, Joe Biden, did declare a brand new war on domestic terrorism, which does seem like the headline. We've been waiting for this for a little while. The country's intelligence establishment seems to be salivating at the thought of treating fellow Americans like ISIS.
Looking forward, that the members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of a country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians. And unfortunately, I think there has been this momentum that has been generated as a result of, unfortunately, the demagogic rhetoric of people that's just departed government, but also those who continue in the halls of Congress.
Oh, an unholy alliance, if you will. Because I am stupid, I speak exclusively in cliches, but I was still able somehow to run the CIA, which ought to tell you something, a lot, really, about the rottenness of our system. But the headline here is insurgents. What you're hearing is that people who disagree with me or may criticize me are in fact insurgents. And of course, politicians love the idea of this. Brad Schneider, for example, is a congressman from Illinois. He's introduced something called the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act to make it a lot easier to spy on the Americans who are paying for the spy agencies. Watch.
Would you like to see more monitoring of radical domestic movements?
Well, the short answer is yes. That's the purpose of this bill.
Yeah. Short answer is yes, purpose of this bill. Glenn Greenwald is the most independent of independent journalists. He writes on Substack, where we hope you support him. He joins us tonight. Glenn, this is starting to make me a little bit nervous. Do the rest of us have cause to be concerned about this trend?
Absolutely. A lot of times if you warn of a danger, you have to piece things together in order to demonstrate that it's actually coming. In this case, you don't have to. They're explicitly saying precisely what they want to do. The thing that struck me so much about that John Brennan video is it would be one thing if they were saying, look, there's a band of people, 20 here, 50 over here, who wear swastika armbands, who still are in the KKK. There's maybe 2,000. We need to. That's not what they're saying. What he's saying is the exact opposite. Every group he lifted, even libertarians, it's essentially he's defining the insurgency as anyone who has an ideology other than neoliberalism. In other words, other than the ruling class view that is about to congeal and merge with the power of the state. And what they're talking about explicitly, Tucker, is using the tools that they use to take ISIS off the internet, the tools that they use to destroy Al-Qaeda. They're talking about it as a second war on terror. And that first war on terror, no matter what your views were originally at the beginning of 9/11, ended up eroding not civil liberties just elsewhere, but here at home as well. One that is born by name of being a domestic war on terror designed to essentially criminalize any oppositional ideology to the ruling class. There is literally nothing that could be more dangerous, and it's not fear-mongering or alarmism to say it. There are bills pending by Adam Schiff as well that would simply take the existing war on terror legislation, always aimed at foreign governments and foreign actors, and simply amend it to say we can now do that within the United States.
Who's going to stand up in opposition to this? I don't see any of the corporate Republican caucus really even noticing. I see a lot of people I thought were liberal turn out to be not liberal at all, but more authoritarian. So how do we prevent this from happening? Any idea?
Well, one of the things One of the things I'm really hoping for is that we can finally get out of enough people believing that the way to understand Washington is Democrat versus Republican, and that you side with one team and believe they're on your side and defending your interest and the other team is your enemy. It is not true. There is a ruling class elite that is extremely comfortable with the establishment wings of both parties. They love Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer every bit as much as they love Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney and Marco Rubio and Paul Ryan. Those are the people who they fund equally because those are the people who serve their agenda. Then there's a whole other huge group of people at whose expense they rule, and some of them consider themselves on the left and some consider themselves on the right, and it's time to break down those barriers. I was super enthused to see a group of 8 left-wing politicians, including Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and others, say we will not allow a new war on terror because we know how dangerous it can be. Let them stand with right-wing members to break down this artificial, false, fraudulent prism that the way to understand Washington is thinking that one of the two parties is on your side. Neither of them is.
I feel like a lot of people are going to be saving that permanently, what you just said, on their DVRs. And I certainly hope they do, because you're right. Glenn Greenwald, thank you very much.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
Hey guys, Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How y'all doing today? Welcome to Quarantine from the Conventional Wisdom and Social Norms. This is Tommy Nation Tuesday live stream. Catch us at www.tommynationpolitics.com for more videos. Make sure you hit the bell, clicks that subscribe button, then you'll know whenever I have videos coming out. And I do have videos coming out all the time. Because we're your progressive news media, guys. New, independent, progressive media. We're free-thinking, innovative, totally open-minded. If you have any questions, comments, want to get on the show, want to do some discussion, some lively, robust debating, make sure you hit us up at facebook.com/TommyNationPolitics. And as always, guys, let the free thought begin. Today, guys, we're talking about quarantining from the conventional wisdom. At a time when America was recovering from the worst economic decline in its history, a new crisis was on the horizon. World War II. That's right, guys. At the beginning of this crisis, many countries, including America, practiced isolationism. That's right, isolationism. The James Monroe Doctrine. We want to be left alone. Don't start no stuff, won't be no stuff. Isolationism made sure to steer clear of political matters that were of no concern to other countries that, weren't involved. However, as more countries were targeted, it seemed clear that whether the country went to war or not, America could not be non-interventionist in this case, and war would impact them in one way or another. Franklin Delano Roosevelt saw the devastation this impact would be on the recovering American economy, and wanted to protect in any way was so slowly progressing. He prepared and delivered 2 speeches that spoke of the problems to come and the problems that could be, and what could be done to prevent such aggressive sickness. Roosevelt was very aware of the situation and the neutral stance most Allied countries were taking on the situation. Roosevelt knew that the actions occurring overseas would most likely influence the world's economy and wanted to protect the international treaties and trading pacts. Somehow, in his speech, Roosevelt took a subtle approach in how these allying nations would come to this non-aggressive resolution.
On the shore of Chicago's Lake Michigan, the President of the United States dedicates the newest link in Chicago's famed Outer Drive.
Some 15 years ago, the hopes of mankind for a continuing era of international peace were raised to great heights when more than 60 nations solemnly pledged to resort to arms in furtherance of their national aims and policies. The high aspirations expressed in the Briand-Kellogg Pact and the hopes for peace thus raised have of late given way to a haunting fear of calamity.
He made sure to mention that innocent civilians were being ruthlessly murdered. He then transitioned on to how the current situation at the time would affect and reverberate throughout history as a butterfly effect all the world's economies. He stated that in those nations that the war budget was 30 to 50% of their national income. And 50% of their national income was being used on defense, guys. While in contrast, America's was only being utilized 11 to 12% of its national GDP.
The present reign of terror and international lawlessness began a few years ago. It began through unjustified interference in the internal affairs of other nations, or the invasion of alien territory in violation of treaties. It has now reached a stage where the very foundations of civilization are seriously threatened. The landmarks, the traditions, which have marked the progress of civilization toward a condition of law and order and justice, are being wiped away. Without a declaration of war and without warning or justification of any kind, civilians, including vast numbers of women and children, are being ruthlessly murdered with bombs from the air. In times of so-called peace, ships are being attacked and sunk by submarines without cause or notice. Nations are fomenting and taking sides in civil warfare in nations that have never done them any harm. Nations claiming freedom for themselves do not deny it to others. Innocent peoples, innocent nations are being cruelly sacrificed to a greed for power and supremacy which is devoid of all sense of justice and humane consideration. To paraphrase a recent author, perhaps we foresee a time when men, exultant in the technique of homicide, will rage so hotly over the world that every precious thing will be in danger. Every book, every picture, every harmony, every treasure garnered through 2 millenniums, the small, the delicate, the defenseless, all will be lost or wrecked or utterly destroyed. If those things come to pass in other parts of the world, let no one imagine that America will escape, that America may expect mercy, that this Western Hemisphere will not be attacked, and that it will continue tranquilly and peacefully to carry on the ethics and the arts of civilization. No, if those days come, there will be no safety by arms, no help from authority, no answer in science. The storm will rage until every flower of culture is trampled and all human beings are leveled in a vast chaos. If those days are not to come to pass, if we are to have a world in which we can breathe freely and live in amity without fear, then the peace-loving nations must make a concerted effort to uphold laws and principles on which alone peace can rest secure, which today are creating a state of international anarchy, international instability, from which there is no escape through mere isolation or neutrality. Those who cherish their freedom and recognize and respect the equal rights of their neighbors to be free and live in peace must work together for the triumph of law and moral principles in order that peace, justice, and confidence may prevail throughout the world. There must be a return to a belief in the pledged word, in the value of a signed treaty. There must be recognition of the fact that national morality is as vital as private morality. A bishop wrote to me the other day, "It seems to me that something greatly needs to be said in behalf of ordinary humanity against the present practice of carrying the horrors of war to helpless civilians, especially women and children. It may be that such a protest may be regarded by many who claim to be realists as futile, but may it not be that the heart of mankind is so filled with horror at the present needless suffering that that force could be mobilized in sufficient volume to lessen such cruelty in the days ahead, even though it may take 20 years, which God forbid, for civilization to make effective its corporate protest against this barbarism. Surely strong voices may hasten the day." There is a solidarity, an interdependence about the modern world, both technically and morally, which makes it impossible for any nation completely to isolate itself from political and economic upheavals in the rest of the world, especially when such upheavals appear to be spreading and not declining. There can be no stability or peace, either within nations or between nations, except under laws and moral standards adhered to by all. International anarchy destroys every foundation for peace. It jeopardizes either the immediate or the future security of every nation, large or small. And it is therefore a matter of vital interest and concern to the people of the United States that the sanctity of international treaties and the maintenance of international morality be restored. The overwhelming majority of all the peoples and nations of the world today want to live in peace. They seek the removal of barriers against trade. They want to exert themselves in industry, in agriculture, in business, that they may increase their wealth through the production of wealth-producing goods, rather than striving to produce military planes and bombs and machine guns and cannon for the destruction of human lives and useful property. In those nations of the world which seem to be piling armament on armament for purposes of aggression.
Can you imagine that time, guys? Back in the 40s, 11 to 12% of our GDP on the military. Now we spent $850 billion on the military. A blown, expanded military budget. Bases all over the world, an empire. So much for restoring and repairing democracy. Oh, the good old days, guys. Well, in this live stream, what I want to accomplish is I want to look back on what FDR had reflected on October 5th, 1937 in Chicago, on the dedication of a bridge between North and South Outer Lake Shore Drive, calling for an international quarantine against the epidemic of world lawlessness. Yes, guys, lawlessness. by aggressive nations. An alternative to the political climate of American neutrality and non-interventionism. That was prevalent at the time and most preferred by yours truly. But the speech intensified America's isolationist mood, causing protests and the right wing to robustly criticize. It was interpreted in this speech as referring to the Empire of Japan and the Kingdom of Italy and Nazi Germany, of course. But as we look forward to the decreasing of military troops in Afghanistan, it could be completely said about us in our situation currently, and the warmongering going on with the military-industrial complex and the media, manufacturing consent. The same media that manufactured consent for the fake war that George W. Bush sold us in Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction. Fortunately, Roosevelt was more smart, way more smart than George W. Bush, and he had real issues. And he suggested the use of economic pressures, like sanctions, a forceful response but less direct than outright aggression. The public response to the speech was mixed. Famed cartoonist Percy Crosby, creator of Skippy, the comic strip, and a very outspoken Roosevelt critic, bought a 2-page advertisement in the New York Times and the New York Sun to attack it. In addition, it was heavily criticized by the Chicago Tribune and other publicated conservative news outlets owned by Robert McCormick, who was like the, what was that guy who owned Fox News at the time? You know what I'm talking about. The guy who died. He was molesting people. More recently, as today, Joe Biden is yet another voice of reason with withdrawal of Afghanistan troops. Sounding the alarm in the defense, we have Jack Reed, Biden's, I think he's the, what is he? He's a Rhode Island Democrat. He said Biden's made the best out of many poor decisions. He also said following Trump's plan would have prompted an incredible increase of violence. Well, I don't know what they're doing differently. I know Trump organized and orchestrated this deal, made this deal with the Taliban. So I don't know what he's referring to, Jack Reed. He must be a partisan. And what I say about that, guys, is we need to quarantine. Anyone who's sick with the partisan sickness cannot be trusted. They're tainted. Damaged goods. We're going to talk to some free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded people about our aggression and what we can do to solve our issues, as progressives should, as FDR did. You can learn by example, guys. We can be that shining beacon on a hill that so many of us Americans claim to exemplify. Let's see if we can. Tommy Nation Politics.
America hopes for peace. Therefore, America actively engages in the search for peace.
So, amidst the blast of steamboat whistles and the roar of circling airplane motors, the President of the United States dedicates Chicago's handsome new Outer Drive Bridge. Leaving the city now to enjoy its 30-odd miles of now unbroken drive along the lake, the President motors to lunch at the home of His Eminence, George Cardinal Mundelein, and then back to the 10-car presidential special train and an overnight jump to Hyde Park, New York, with but one more speaking date left on the crowded 2-week schedule, and that is tonight in Cleveland at 10:45 Eastern Standard Time. This is Bob Trout speaking to you from Chicago's Outer Drive Bridge and returning you now to our New York studios.
How's everyone doing today?
We appreciate the courtesy of the makers of Lucky Strike cigarettes, sponsors of Edwin C. Hill, in relinquishing their program in order for us to bring you the special broadcast that just ended. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
WJSV